What's up, boys? Thanks for welcoming me to Dallas. Came straight from Fort Worth, felt like a cowboy. And now I'm in fake LA.
Fake LA, yeah. Dallas is pretty bougie.
It's
We love Uptown here, and we love fancy shopping. We were just talking about Legacy West and all the fancy stores that are coming there. So if you're local to Dallas, you know what it's about. We have a lot to talk about. We're here in the flesh, but Samir also has to hop off early because he's moving this weekend.
Big move tomorrow. Got to pack up the whole house. So let's run through this.
Yeah, let's run through it. So we're going to be talking about Funko Pops all the way to the Republican debate, so it'll be pretty quick. But let's jump into it.
Men go mad.
He's gone mad.
MadMen.
You're mad.
The man's mad.
MadMen.
I'm mad.
So you can now design your own Funko Pop toy. The things that replace bobbleheads is how, I think Samir referred to it. But you can do it in your own image. You can customize them. Their website has millions of custom combinations to create a figurine that looks just like you or anyone else you want. Choose the skin tone, hairstyle, clothes, and accessories. Costs about $30. Ships directly to you in about a week. We know personalized products are really hot right now. But what do you guys think? Is this going to be a dud or stud?
I still don't understand what the craze is about Funko Pop. Like I saw it everywhere. You go into GameStops and bookstores and just massive walls of all these different Funko dolls for people to collect. But like now that I say that, I haven't seen it in a long time. I feel like you see those facings like slowly start decreasing. I don't think retailers are carrying that much massive amount of inventory anymore of Funko dolls. But I think that's what makes this move a stud. I think Funko taking it upon themselves to blow out their own direct-to-consumer e-commerce play, getting into that personalization space, I think that's the way that they need to get out of relying on retailers to carry that much amount of inventory. Funko, at the end of the day, relies on that collectability factor, which requires a lot of inventory. And that requires a lot of space for retailers to have to collect. If you can play into that collectability factor, still leverage those licensed properties that you have, but get that reliance off of the retailers and start building it on your own, I think that's a stud move. I think it was bound to happen. I don't think Funko was meant to last because it's never going to remain as popular. I think it was still a fad. I think it still is. But I think it's sort of started to come back down to earth. And now it's them to figure out, like, okay, we have this brand, we have this platform, we have these partnerships and licenses. How can we build something sustainable with it? And I think that is when, redirecting their efforts to e-commerce, to direct to consumer, start creating and start building out a data platform using CRM. Like now you're building a relationship directly with customers. They even launched a loyalty program that's going to get them to have more of those exclusive access to merch and all those kinds of things. They're driving that collectability factor back up again, but now in like a digital way instead of what we saw in traditional retail. So I think it's a stud. I think it's a genius pivot that I think was bound to come though.
Look, the reason why you don't see them anymore because they suck now. That's basically what it is like, and it's partly because the apps they have, they're all based on movies, right? You're saying that, hey, they're moving a loyalty program, but right now the reason why they're even collectibles and people are making money off of them where they made money was because they had Marvel collectibles, and they had Star Wars collectibles, and they had all these different programs. And that's what really drove that branding for them and that marketing for them was the ability to go build that, right? Having a Funko created by me, I'm going to make one of those and maybe send 4 to a friend. That's really it. But what is the operational cost of that, right? What does it look like to build a cost like that? They, last quarter, they missed their revenue forecast by 20%. Like, how much of that is going to help them drive more units, more sales? Yes, it's going to bring down inventory, but now you've got a high operational cost. So does the marketing play to bring them back and relevant to the market really help you guys to figure out, hey, is this going to stay longer? Or do we just say, hey, look, let's make this more efficient, downsize a little bit, cut off streams, and focus on just the assets that make money and the ones that stay collectible, or do like what Nike does, bring out collectibles from the past and re-emphasize them and say, hey, look, this is a classic or this is legacy Star Wars characters coming back to life and reselling them instead of making, them go for eBay for $10,000 or whatever ridiculous amount people pay over some random ass Funko. But I think I don't think it's going to win them over. I think it's still going to show them, and they forecast that even with this announcement that next quarter is going to go down 10% and the quarter after that. So they're expecting year-over-year loss, or not loss, but decrease in sales. And even with this announcement, so there's something else is not clicking right for Funko. So they got to I would say go back to the drawing board and figure something else out.
Do you guys think that, I'm thinking of Yeti. They had to do a custom shop thing when things started getting oversaturated. They've been growing every year, but once they went more custom, they were able to slaughter Arctic not slaughter, but they were able to really take back some of that market share that some of these other cooler companies came out with. I think this is a great move. Like now I'm actually going to buy a Funko Pop because I've never bought one. I always thought that they were just gimmicky, but this is a cool gift. And I think Americans love fantasy things and little knickknacks. I mean, as crazy as people are about Pokemon and Harry Potter and everything, like this is, you can get a custom figurine for $30 in a week. I thought it was pretty cool. I think this is a natural evolution for them to bring in this offering. The other thing that it does make me think of is Beanie Babies, right? Like imagine if they did something custom as well. I don't know how many people want an actual Beanie Baby of themselves, but if they were to bring that in, maybe they would have extended their lifetime, right? Is they had the collectible side, but then they take that love for Beanie Baby and the collectibles. Now you can give gifts to Grandpa Joe and have a Beanie Baby that looks like him, and I think it's actually, I'm glad they're doing it. Otherwise they would have the opposite effect of what happened with TY and Ty and Beanie Babies.
Hey guys, have you seen the new Got Milk ad?
Got Milk is back.
I gotta say, that's one of the best ads I've seen in a long time. Got Milk, just California milk process brand, put out an ad making fun of all the different types of milk. And you got oat milk, they got almond milk, but now they're making up fun names like unicorn milk and noodle milk. Now commercial is great. It's bringing back the reality of, hey, look, those are all alternatives, and this is not real dairy. And look, dairy has been declining in consumption. A lot of shoppers think and switching to plant-based is healthier. We are aware the macros are probably not the same. Milk still beats them in the macros, but let's be real. Milk is milk. What do you guys think? The Udder Stud campaign.
I thought it was a good ad. I thought there was some point, I think they accomplished their goal of making you feel gross about other milk. Like they did salmon milk and, they show those images and obviously you're like, it's disgusting. It does make you compare to what the real thing is from a cow, right? But it will drive sales. I agree. But here's why I think it's a dud. There's more information now than ever before about animal cruelty. It's always been something that PETA had always just pushed, and these other anti-milk, anti-farming, using animal products to better ourselves. They are now pushing. Now that's kind of general knowledge, and now that there is alternatives like almond milk, like oat milk, and everything, those are people have viable options where they don't need to go get the real thing. They can enjoy a latte without having milk, right? And I was looking at it, I was like, what's the milk is defined by an opaque opaque white fluid rich in fat and protein secreted by female mammals for the nourishment of their young. So when you hear that, doesn't that upset you? Even though you may not be an animal rights activist or anything like that, that's how milk is defined. And I think that's what the ad hints at, is like, these other things are not milk. We are the real deal. But, seeing the images and videos of animal cruelty is still sad, even if you drink milk, right? So I think there's a better way to market this same thing. What you said about the macros, like that's an actual angle. Like you can take that and say, taking in milk, you get a lot more protein, and with a keto angle as well. But the tagline in the ad says, get real, right? And that can be taken so many ways. So this ad is fun, colorful, and it weirdly makes you feel gross about any other option other than milk itself. But what they can also do is supplement that get real concept by showing some transparency and maybe accountability of the farmers, right? So if they want to bring in the people that used to drink milk and stopped to because of the animal rights issues and stuff, they can say, hey, we're now getting real with you. We're going to use the same campaign. We're going to do fun ads with Get Real, but then here's another aspect of Get Real. And we've created a transparent angle of where you guys can see how farmers actually produce milk. Show happy cows, call it a happy cow pact, right? And you show these farmers saying, hey, we're part of this. We're going to make sure these animals get treated with respect, and no female cow will ever be pregnant, because that's the only way they can produce milk. But we'll more than one time a year. Otherwise, they're chilling. Like something like that. That would be a good commitment to get people over to milk as well. So they need to supplement this Get Real rather than hating on other milk. They could say that, hey, we have a coalition now of how we're gonna really tackle this animal cruelty thing and make sure everyone feels better about drinking milk. And oat milk is what's raging right now, and that's horrible for you. Like oat milk is it's the highest in carbs and sugar than any other milk alternative. So I think they need to go that angle.
I think that oat milk point is interesting. That we talked about selling like if you had a macro story, real dairy wins, but it's clear that people still don't care. Like oat milk is still booming, right? And let's be honest about like what's happening in the consumer behavior is that like true milk alternatives are all exploding, and they've eaten away at real milk sales for a variety of different reasons. But I do think that there is a misconception about what people believe is happening. People are not quitting real dairy milk. They're just supplementing sometimes with milk alternatives. McKinsey said 71% of consumers are exclusively buying real dairy milk, and only 5% are exclusively buying plant-based. That leaves 24% buy both. So what does that mean? That I don't think that people are choosing milk alternatives because they don't believe in real dairy anymore. People still believe it because they're still buying it, and they're just choosing to supplement it in other ways. So I think what this is essentially saying is this ad is effectively trying to convince shoppers that you already believe that real dairy is good because you're already buying it. But for whatever reason, you're choosing certain dairy alternatives for certain occasions. And I think that's what this ad is like really honing in on is stop you relying on the fake alternatives sometimes, because you're not totally against real dairy. You understand the value of it. You understand the macro story is better. You know that natural real milk is going to be better for you. You might even believe that it tastes better, that it works better in certain products, in certain meals. I think it's just it just became cool and trendy to go with the milk alternative because you were taking that stance that you're talking about, of like, I support the side of animal of proper animal care, or I support more options that are they feel a little bit more empowered, or what's the word, fortified, right? These are all milk alternatives that have added ingredients that are supposed to be better for you. But this campaign, I feel like, talks about like there's nothing better than being real, and highlighting and sort of a parody on all the different types of fake things that are out there or made up stuff. I think is poking at exactly the hidden truth that people may not be ready to admit themselves. And that's that, like, you're not quitting on real dairy all the time. You just think it's cool to buy the fake stuff sometimes. So I'm going to call you out for it. And you're going to believe us that like the real thing is true because you already believe it, or else you would have abandoned real milk completely. I think this is a stud. It's fun. I think it's conversation worthy. This is like milk, the old traditional boring category. I used to work in the milk category in a different life and at a different agency. And it is really bland, like, for lack of a better word. Like, marketing, advertising milk is really difficult. But this is like playing in the same game against your Oatly, who plays on this kind of comical tone. This is bringing a lot of like energy and character to a really boring category that nobody really felt was that important. Like, even within the milk, do you guys really care if you're buying a certain branded milk or the store generic version? Like, probably not. So there's very limited things that brands can even do. So just seeing this like milk coalition come together and say like real dairy is better and you know it, and we're going to attack all of the other alternative stuff for being fake because there's nothing better than being real. And I think there's something really like culturally powerful about that. And it's simple without having to get into the macro story. Even though I think people would believe it, Celine, like I think you're right, that I think people will, like, once you put the numbers in front of them, it's going to be hard to debate. But it doesn't seem to have mattered up until like now. Like, okay, now we need to make people believe that real is better and not just prove it with numbers, but we got to make it relevant. And I think that's what this campaign has done a really good job of.
Well, you make a good point. I think if I look at myself and probably the people in this room, I use both right now. In my house, we've got regular milk for my lattes because lattes with anything else suck. We make almond oats and chia pudding stuff, and we use almond milk because it's less calories and it just tastes better and feel better. Well, it doesn't taste better, but it makes you feel better because it's less calories. It still does what it needs to do, but again, I'm supplementing it as something else, right? So I think you made a good point. I think overall campaign really just gets you the conversation going back to milk, and I think it'll drive unit sales. At the same time, Deal, I think you've got a point there. And I think there's a Chick-fil-A milk collab coming soon. That would be ideal, right? Save the cows, save the milk, save the chickens, or save the cows in that case. That might be something there, guys. Take a look at that.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's no like support for chickens. Everything's about saving the cows or.
All right, let me take us into the next Dudder Stud. So, guys, it's Pepsi's birthday. Pepsi, the Pepsi Cola, turning 125.
Woo!
Celebrate that 125th anniversary. Pepsi is rolling out a huge campaign that includes a brand new logo, new, unique, and immersive restaurant experience in New York City called the Pepsi 125 Diner, giving away a bunch of free Pepsi and a bunch of prizes for 125 days leading up to the New Year's Eve this year. So I want to ask, is this really going to be seen as a celebration for a brand that has lived at the center of pop culture for 125 years, or just a reminder of a brand that for 125 years has consistently and hasn't always will be number 2 in the category? What do you guys think?
Wait, where do you say Pepsi is number 2? Have you seen revenue numbers? Coca-Cola's beverage revenue is significantly lower than Pepsi's. And it always has been. Because you live in America, you think Coke is the bomb. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Coke guy, but I have to choose. But if we go globally, Pepsi is significantly higher. You'll see it all across the globe. So Pepsi's numbers are always number 1. So I would take that back to say, hey, look, Coke is number 1, and Pepsi's always going to be number 2. But going on to the campaign, look, it's a refresh. It's a reason to celebrate. It's a reason to get Pepsi back in the conversation, and it's a good color. It's kind of a nostalgic look, going back to the old Pepsi look. Now it is darker tone. It's not the white cans anymore. That would be kind of cool. But I think it's going to play well. I think it's going to bring people back into that conversation, especially globally. Like if you look at Pepsi as a global company, then you'll see it better. Looking at it from a US eye, I think they're still going to struggle with unit sales because Coke just has better contracts and better agreements, and it kind of goes back to why they bought the Yum brands, right? PepsiCo bought Yum brands a year back because it was easier to buy a restaurant chain group than to try to compete and get Coke kicked out of stores and Pepsi into the stores. So they're like, hey, we'll just buy the restaurants and then do fountain drinks there. So I think it's a great campaign. I think it's going to create some energy and create some vibe. Are they still Super Bowl sponsor now, or they've gotten away from that?
I think they're PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, certain brands I think do, but they don't have the halftime show anymore. I think last year was Apple. A couple of years has been Apple, I think. But they got a lot of Super Bowl affiliates within their portfolio.
Pepsi had it for Miami.
But I think it's a stud move. Stud move. Oh wow! I think it's a stud move. All these people in the room get me all like weirded out here. It's awkward. I like my home office better. No, I think it's a stud move. I think you see some energy. Celebration is good. Getting the logo in front of people is always good. So I think it's going to be great. Congratulations, Pepsi, on 125.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at the revenue numbers too to justify the taking a dead take on this. But what I don't understand is whenever something like this happens, why do you have to go through logo? Or what? I mean, is it a nostalgic logo? Is that what they're going?
The restaurant is supposed to have a lot of like the nostalgic old PepsiCo stuff, like through the design of it and all that. So they're trying to show like the evolution in the restaurant.
I think Pepsi was really smart to obviously partner or join Yum Brands and solidify their volume, right? And it was easier to buy the the company or the restaurants than to actually try to do what Coke does. Coke is still, regardless of what the international numbers say, I think nationwide Coke is the darling, right, of America. It's just a great American story. Coke doesn't need celebrities to pitch it, and you just automatically crave Coke when you eat certain things in America. I think they've done a great job of that. Pepsi depends a lot on celebrity placement, and that's why they do the halftime show, or they did do the halftime shows because of a lot of that. They had the famous like Justin Timberlake ad and stuff too. That was like that they're really well known for. Obviously I'm tangenting right now, but the main thing is that I don't understand why they have to go through logo redesign or anything just because of this milestone. Like, they should celebrate being actually at the top of the hill, being the most loved beverage brand across the world, and really drive that home. I think it's a really cool angle to do the 125 diner. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. Like, I think that's a really good thing that people do. What that reminds me of, I'm going off topic here again, but Lululemon did a recent pop-up where they just had this huge red tent. It was like red cube-looking thing in LA, and they were giving out free leggings. Did you guys hear about this? So they were giving out free leggings. They said, bring your leggings and we'll trade you with a pair of ours. And Lululemon, who's notorious for charging what they do for leggings, they were able to give away free product, and they saw direct impact, like sales boost from doing that. So what they did was like, bring your Target leggings, whatever leggings you have, come trade it out for some aligned Lululemon leggings. And that not only people bought a second pair while they were there or whatever, but that created this trust in, hey, they really stand by their product. Giving away free product like Pepsi is doing here is probably going to sway some people and say, hey, if they say, sorry, we don't have Coke, we have Pepsi, people start to say, yeah, sure, give me Pepsi.
I don't want to play the it depends card, but I do think like different categories will respond differently to that type of promotion. Like, I think if your acquisition to acquire that customer is worth giving away that product for free, and if you know that the lifetime value of that customer is worth it, then I think it makes sense. I think in the sense of Lululemon, I think it could make sense. I think if it tends to be a food product or something that's a little bit easier sway on converting to try, then I think discounting could work as well. Like, I think it just feels like either way, it just kind of, we'll see where the numbers line up of like, how do you value that customer? And is it worth that free product, or is discounting going to be far enough to sway them?
I will play the it depends card, and I'll be proud of it. I think the giving away free product, it really, if you're going luxury route, you're never going to give free product. But Lululemon, I wouldn't say is for the masses, but they want people to make that investment in a pair of leggings. The angle that Lululemon is probably depending on is, if Lululemon is giving a pair of leggings, people will then say, hey, if I buy a second pair, technically I got two for the price of one, right? And so they will make that deal with themselves internally, because everyone loves Lululemon leggings. They just don't want to spend the money on it. But by getting one free pair, they can justify buying a second pair at full price. So I think in that way it works. When it comes to food, it's so cheap. Like, when you look at, like, sometimes like the can costs more than the beverage itself. Giving away free product, I don't think you need it to be volume based. That's the only way food works, is if it's volume.
I'll give you my take, and here's kind of why I get into this debate. Right, for me, it's always like, if a product like Lululemon decides that, hey, we're going to do this discount, you're hoping that discount comes back, and you'll hold tight till that discount comes back again, because then the intention is that at some point they're going to do a discount again. I will only buy a discount. But when you give a product away, and like, okay, this is a trial product, they get a try. Okay, now I like this product. Now I will go. The product is worth spending money on. And it works in both B2C world and B2B world, right? If I give them a service and say, hey, look, here you go, I'm giving you this service, assuming that tomorrow you're going to buy from me, and you're going to get that kickback. If I typically heavily discount it, then they're going to negotiate that discount every single time back. So I know, kind of going off a tangent, but I think it was worth a conversation.
No, it's a really good one. I think a lot of people out there will really relate to when they receive a product on a discount. Then it's up to the product to deliver the promise that it's worth more than what you paid for it, and that's where the experience falls flat. That then people tie themselves to believe this $100 thing that I got for $50. Now that I'm experiencing it, it really is only worth $50. I will never buy it again at full price. And it's Salim, I think that's what you're referencing as like that perception of value now drops because you've introduced that acquisition at that price. I think that's when the promise of the product has to follow through. I think Lululemon does that. I think people are going to realize that the quality of the product is worth more than what I paid for it in this one moment of time that I've discounted. It's definitely like a very careful game when it comes to pricing and discounting. I think people don't realize how much like analytics has to go behind the decision to get to that point, what the number should be, and then where that threshold of like, are we going to drop the price too far where it's going to defeat the value of the product? Or is this really just enough of a discount to where we can get people into the brand and then back it up with the promise of behind it? So it's a very strategic thing that like pricing, I feel like goes into that a lot of people don't really realize. It's a good point, though, Slim. Cool. I will take us into our brands to watch. Guys, it is 104 degrees today in Dallas. But fear not, we are getting a cold front next week, and we're going to get out at 99. But you know what season it is? It is pumpkin spiced season, guys. And you would think that after 20 years after the pumpkin spice latte was invented, that people might finally be tired of it. But hell no. Jungle Scout just reported that searches for pumpkin spice jumped 246% in the last 30 days on Amazon. We are now talking t-shirts, scented candles, wax cubes, that people are now looking for pumpkin spice. It's not even just something to eat anymore or something to drink. People are just obsessed with pumpkin spice as a thing. A lot of brands are now announcing what they're going to do this fall for pumpkin spice. Dunkin' Donuts posted their return of their PSL, and it was their second most shared post of all time. Goldfish, the cracker, is launching a pumpkin spice flavor. Bush Beer is launching pumpkin spice flavored beer. Williams Sonoma with pumpkin spice essential oils. Jet Puff, the marshmallow, returning with the pumpkin spice flavored marshmallow. Pillsbury pumpkin spice rolls, pumpkin spice icing, pumpkin spice flavored Oreos. Tree Hut, a skincare brand, added a pumpkin spice body scrub and body wash. Look, I'm not even telling you guys out there to watch out for pumpkin spice trends. You're not going to have a choice. It's going to be everywhere. I like to see you try to avoid pumpkin spice, but I don't need to tell you guys to watch it because it's going to be in your face everywhere and in every brand.
So guys, who gets credit for this? Like, is this a Starbucks? Does Starbucks get credit? And then we go back to the idea behind what we last week talked about, when a brand becomes a thing and the thing is itself, its own brand. Who gets credit for this?
I think it's honestly Starbucks. I mean, they've nationalized this craze. I mean, whenever Starbucks officially kicks off the pumpkin spice season, in my opinion, people don't wait for Bath and Body Works to release their pumpkin spice to then go get Starbucks. It's always the opposite. I think people wait for Starbucks to officially give the nod that, yep, we're ready, and then all the other brands start bringing out the pumpkin spice stuff. So, brand to watch for me. I don't know if you guys have been scrolling through TikTok lately, but every other video, it's some creator saying, in my TikTok shop, you'll find this, or, they're pushing some sort of product or something. And it's so deceiving because it starts off as just like a normal TikTok video, and I get invested in stuff, and then there's a product placement. I right away get frustrated and swipe, right? And not because I have anything against that creator or the product that they're pushing, but just you hate being sold to, right? Like you want entertainment. Well, TikTok is losing quite a bit of money on TikTok Shop. About 500 million this year they're going to lose. But what they're trying to do is they're going to ban outside e-commerce links. So they don't want people visiting Amazon, Walmart, or any other affiliate links that people try to place into videos. They're going to ban those moving forward. So they do about $3 to $4 million a day on TikTok Shop. And they're thinking by banning this, their team is saying they're going to project about $10 million a day in sales. While that might ease some of it, obviously that's going to cause some frustrations for creators. They're going to want to still, because they may have Amazon affiliates or they may be an Amazon influencer, they want to push those links. And there's probably still going to be ways around it. They're probably going to put link in bio or LTK, whatever. They're going to find ways to do it. But what's going to be interesting is how TikTok's going to combat even that. So I think while TikTok is trying to be this entertainment platform, them becoming an everything platform is really the thing to watch now. We've all kind of known it, but now we know their strategy of what they're really trying to go after. So, we'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think social commerce, we've seen a lot, kind of Instagram go through the similar evolution of becoming a content social media platform, then getting into the shoppability space, and now they have shoppable units and formats. But they are also still struggling with people going offsite, and whether it's in the form of these like to know it type of platforms. I think TikTok's going to face the same issues. They can try to protect themselves against people leaving TikTok to go shop as much as they can. But TikTok is not made for retail, at least not yet. And they're not going to be until they really double down on it. I think they are an entertainment platform first, and I think they should keep themselves in that space because that's what they're really good at. But definitely something to watch. I think as they evolve, I wonder how the creator world is going to react to banning kind of the offsite. I know a lot of those creators make money off of those affiliate programs that are now a little bit more challenging to get to. It's making that click one more step when we know a lot of shoppers fall off. So definitely something to watch to see how the creators also react to this.
Look, I think it's a misalignment between TikTok and the US buyer versus their Asian buyers, right? You look at the TikTok shop, US versus Asia. I just looked at the numbers. China's by itself is 10x more than what US is making, right? It's because their community is used to buying it like that. It's the same concept that, Elon's going after with X, right? Finding it all in one app to be able to sell stuff, send money, and do all that fun stuff. That's more than just a social media platform that just talks one way, right? So I think it's a misalignment. If you look at what Instagram did, and Instagram done really well, is that they've incorporated these shops authentically into the creator, right? Where it doesn't seem like somebody's selling to you, like Adil said, right? It doesn't feel like somebody's selling it to you, but they're like, oh, hey, that would be nice to use. Can I go click here? How do I get to that product real fast? Click, I'm here. Versus where TikTok Shop really does feel like they're selling it to you. It's more of almost like a live stream type of scenario where like, hey, buy this, buy that, buy this, or what is that, shopping network back in the days kind of concept. So I think it's a misalignment from TikTok, and I think it is a brand to watch. I think that TikTok Shop brand is probably not going to hit the numbers that it wants to hit, only because I think it's a misalignment of culture between the two that they're looking at.
I think a lot of the losses are happening because they are subsidizing free product for creators to create. And the incentive is that, hey, if you get something for free, then you have to create a UGC of it. And then TikTok gets money on the back end of the transaction when people actually buy it. And
while you do that, you want to tell the non-marketers what UGC stands for?
Yeah, UGC stands for user-generated content. It's typically what like influencers used to be, and they would get a product and say, hey, so such and such brand sent me this product and I wanted to show it to you guys. UGC is supposed to be a little bit more organic, where it's supposed to look like someone who actually bought the product is now creating content because they love it. Some of the audience shifted was you would have these huge names, influencer names, pitch product, and then they would do hashtag ad. Or they would say this is a paid sponsorship. And so people would not engage with it because they're like, oh, I'm being sold to. And UGC was a new concept, is where you get micro influencers or authentic people to create things like to make it look like they actually bought the product. And they are so excited about what it is and everything that they just happen to want to share it with the world and create the product. Create the content to get people to buy that product. But I love this one tweet. It says, the economy is just smart people paying beautiful people to promote stuff to insecure people. Isn't that so amazing? That's what TikTok is becoming. Like any creator out there, just a good looking person trying to sell you something. And that's probably the times that you do convert. But they're being sold to from someone who's much higher up trying to make the ultimate money.
Spot on. Wow.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode. We did have some technical difficulties, as you can tell, but it was a good episode. It was a lot of good content. I'm glad we got the lost footage. There was some other issues, so we did have to cut out Salim's brand to watch. It was a really good one, but we're going to make sure to talk about it again. So please keep listening, and thanks for the support. Stay fabulous, guys.
Men go mad.
He's gone mad.
MadMen.
You're mad.
The man's mad.
MadMen.
I'm mad.